Ale, te mandé un mensaje.
Okay, we're about to start streaming. Is it streaming? Oh, there it is. Okay.
I believe we're streaming now. Is that correct?
We are streaming and I'm pasting the link in community right now.
And of course, I don't have my notebook, so I will be back in 30 seconds. Hold on.
We still have a minute until we're supposed to start anyway.
All right. Anyone tuning in on YouTube, either live or after the fact, this is the Family and Community Engagement Committee meeting of the Hartford Board of Education, and we'll get started in just a few minutes.
Hello, all.
Yes, welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. All right, while we're waiting for a couple other people to join, I think we'll just get started. It is a very full agenda today, so we'll try to keep things moving along as best we can and make sure that we're off the call by 6:30, if at all possible. So welcome again. My name is Stephen Tatum. I'm a board member of the Hartford Board of Education and chair of this committee. It's the Family and Community Engagement Committee. For a check-in question today, as we pass it around and introduce ourselves and our role, just briefly share one of your favorite signs of spring, or maybe a sign of spring that you've noticed popping up in this early transition here to spring. For me, always the forsythia is a early shot of yellow, and I love it. And I'll pass it to how about to Flor? Go ahead, Flor.
Hello, my name is Flor de Hoyos. I am the director of the Welcome Center. And I just love when it starts getting warm. So when I start feeling the sun rays, that's all me. So the warmer it gets, I enjoy that. I will pass it on to Isha.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aisha Pagan. I am the FCSSP here at Byrd Middle School. One of the things I love of spring is the longer nights. So I look forward to the time change.
Oh, I think we lost your sound for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, there you go. You're back.
okay. Hi, Isha Pagan over FCSSP at Byrd Middle School. I stated that I enjoy the time change. I like the longer nights. Looking forward to the warm weather. Let me see who could I see. I could pass it on to Alejandro.
Good evening, everyone. Alejandro Martinez, Family Outreach and Engagement Manager. I have to say, I'm enjoying the fact that I won't have to wear a heavy coat and the scarred gloves. So that is something that I'm definitely enjoying about the early signs of spring. And I'm going to pass it over to Miss Santiago.
that is a good one. I'm gonna steal that because, and along with floors, like just the feeling of getting warmer. You know how you compare things, winter to spring is like, oh my gosh, it's 60 degrees. It's so nice out. But when you go from summer to fall, you're like 60 degrees is cold. That's why I love, and it's like, all right, I love that transition that it feels better, the weather and everything. And I will pass it on to Miss Davis Googe.
Hello, I'm Sherry Davis Googe. I'm the executive lead for school options. I'm just going to say all of the above, right? You see the little blooms coming out the ground, and it just signals like a new beginning for spring. I can't stand winter coats and hats and all of those things. So then there's that, and then it's the longer day. So, yep, all of the above. I will pass it on to Janelle.
Thank you, Sherry. Good afternoon, everyone. Janelle Hooker. I am the Executive Director of the Office of Strategic Partnerships and Fund Development for the district. While I love spring and fall because of that transition, the signs of spring for me goes with sneezing and cough and itchy eyes. So I gotta, struggle through that as I'm trying to enjoy that we kind of turn in the page. I will hand it over to Mauricia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marissa. I'm the Partnerships and Community Schools Manager for Hartford Public Schools. Again, everything all above, I agree with. Those are all things that I love about the spring. And similar to Janelle, I have horrible allergies. So that's one little decline that spring gives me. But I love the weather. I love the fact that I don't have to wear a big old jacket. Longer evenings, of course. I'll pass it to Carolyn.
Good evening. I'm Carolyn Rossley, the Director of the Office of Enrollment and School Choice. And I'm going to ditto everybody, but I'm going to add the positive energy that people come in with. Everybody walks in with a lot more energy and smile. And one other thing you guys haven't mentioned is like, I see the cardinals, I see the birds. They are that other sign of spring that, and all the noise that they bring. And did everyone go?
Me, I didn't. Elaine.
Go ahead, Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi, I'm Elaine Gagliotti, Senior Director of Food Service and Child Nutrition. For me, it's getting home from work and not having to stay inside, being able to go out, take a walk, do things outside, and just enjoy some of the evening instead of hunkering down at 5 o'clock every night.
And Ms. Brody, thanks for joining us. If you want to introduce yourself and share a sign of spring that you appreciate, you can do that.
Hello, everyone. Shante Brody, Board of Education member, and a sign. It's time for gardening, so it's always exciting. Not so much the allergies, but that comes along with being in the garden. I'm a community gardener, and I am looking forward to this season.
Love it. Thank you all for sharing. Yeah, these transition times are always so full of lots of things. So, oh, and we have Mr. Ledger is on the call as well, board member, vice chair. Welcome. Thanks for joining. If you would, you're the last person to introduce yourself. If you want to share your name, your role, and a sign of spring that you're noticing or appreciate, looking forward to, you can go ahead.
Me? Okay, so hi, this is my name is Francoise Gaston Ledger. I am vice chair for the Hartford Board of Education.
Great, thank you. All right, as I said, we have a very packed agenda today. So, Christina, if you wouldn't mind pulling it up on our screens. Did she? There we go. Yep. We'll give a quick overview of what we're hoping to cover today. Starting with usual updates from the Office of Partnerships and Engagement. Then we'll be discussing an item that will be voted on at the upcoming board meeting related to the healthy food certification. We'll then go through our usual reports from the Welcome Center, and I believe at that point we'll also hear from FCSSPs and about the SGCs and Title I spending. We'll then move on to an update on summer programming. And finally, hopefully with plenty of time, because this is a meaty topic, update from the Office of Enrollment and School Choice and giving us an overview of the magnet placement process and the lottery, how that works and the current status. So if you're early on the agenda, I would ask that you try to keep your presentation succinct so that we do have time later on to get into the longer discussion. All right, so I'll turn it over to Janelle for some updates.
Yes, thank you so much, Board Member Tatum. So on the next slide, here's where you can see the to-dos for the month of April. We do have, we had on our April 7th Parent and Caregiver Engagement Panel. We actually did not facilitate the training on that. We did not facilitate the meeting on that day, but those parents actually joined us on April 8th, which was yesterday, at our Hartford Public Schools Budget Forum at Moylan School. So that we're all in attendance to be able to have an opportunity to ask questions and be a little more involved in that. The week of April 13th through the 17th is Hartford Public Schools spring break. During that time, we will have a few schools that will be offering spring break programming in partnership with some community-based organizations. So the Village will be providing a spring break program at MD Fox from Monday through Thursday, April 13th through the 16th. Ready CT will be offering a spring break program at Buckley High School, as well as Pathways from April 13th through the 16th. And we were able to develop a partnership with the city, who will have open Parks and Rec. They'll have open Parker and Arroyo Parks and Rec. And we did a partnership with McDonough to be able to get students from McDonough that could walk over to Arroyo for a spring break program, and students from Sand to be able to walk over to Parker Memorial for a spring break program. On April 20th, we will be facilitating our monthly partnerships meeting. We do this at Connecticut State Colleges at Capitol. That's from 11 to 12:30. It's an in-person meeting. On the 21st, Hartford Public Schools would have a public budget hearing regular board meeting. We're encouraging everyone to attend at Weaver High School. This will start at 5:30 p.m. Arbor Day is this year on April 24th, and in partnership with the city Planting of Trees program, the school that will be hosting the Arbor Day event, as well as recipients of 20 trees, will be Global Communication. And the ceremony will start at 8 in the morning and is expected to be until 9:30, 10 o'clock. April 28th, we are encouraging members of the community to also join the city public budget hearing, which will be facilitated or hosted at Weaver High School, and this will start at 6 p.m. and it's the last budget hearing. On this particular slide, you're also able to see on my right, your left, you'll see the events that we have broken down by the schools by zone for you to access and know what each one of the schools have planned for the month of April. And I think you can click, there you go. So as you click,
Well, if the internet
system,
works.
the system is thinking, but as you
There it
click
is.
on it, you will be able to see the list of activities that different schools within that particular zone will be offering. Thank you so much, Ms. Santiago. I think I am handing it back over to Board Member Tatum, unless you want me to hand it over to the next slide.
Yeah, we can go straight ahead.
So this would then hand over to Ms. Elaine.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I will keep this brief. I'm here to talk to you today about healthy food certification. And basically, in a nutshell, it is a statute that requires each Board of Education that participates in the National School Lunch Program to vote whether or not they will take part in healthy food certification for the following school year. Basically, that statute says whether all foods sold to students separately from anything in any of our reimbursable meals should meet Connecticut nutrition standards. The Connecticut nutrition standards are based on dietary guidelines, and they focus on moderating calories, saturated fat, sodium, and sugar, and promote the increasing the amount of fresh fruits and vegetables as well as whole grains. So we have participated since 2017, and I'm asking that if we can do that for next year also. So basically, there's two parts that have to be voted on. One is yes or no, whether we will take part in the healthy food certification. And then the second piece of it is an exemption that basically states that items can be sold. The exemptions would be that it would have to be sold in connection with an event that would be occurring after the end of a school day or on a weekend, and that the sale of that food is actually taking place at the location of the event, and also that the items, food or beverages, are not sold from a vending machine or a school store. So those are the two parts to the statute that need to be voted on. And that is it. Does anyone have any questions? Nope.
I see a question from Board Member Joseph Ledger. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So the question I have is, would there be an opportunity for food to be sold like
already completed for departure? Thank you.
If we can perhaps do it like as a education type initiative, if you will, to kind of have like, parents to come in and perhaps purchase food items.
So if it's not being sold is it during the school day or after the school day? It can't be like a bake sale. Bake sales are not allowed. If it's after the school day and it's being sold at the end of a day or on a weekend, then it's okay. But are you talking about during the school day?
Yeah, during the school day, but like incorporating it as part of like an education type initiative, like perhaps into the curriculum.
If it was during the school day and it was being sold, then it would have to meet the nutrition standards.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I'm looking through. I don't see any other hands. Okay.
And just you said that Harvard Public Schools has participated in this program since
Yeah.
2017.
Yes. Yes.
Are you aware of any like particular constraints or times where people want to do some kind of food sales that they're prevented from? Like what's the most common thing that you hear
What we
that
see
this
is
restricts?
if we're out in the schools, we see a lot of signs for bake sales. That's really the big one. Candy sales, the fundraising if the sports teams are selling candy, it would have to be done after school at that event, not during the day, handing out candy and selling candy or baked goods during the school day. That's really the big one that we see.
All right. If there are no further questions, thank you very much for presenting the information. Feel free to hop off the call and we'll pick it back up at the regular board meeting later in April.
Okay, thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
All right. Next up on the agenda, we'll go through some of our usual reports from School Governance Council's Title I spending and hear from FCSSP. Am I turning it over to you, Alejandro?
Yes, Board Member Tito.
Go ahead.
Good. Christina, you could go over to the next slide. Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is our monthly Title I parent activities account report. As you can see, throughout the beginning of the school year, we've had several revisions. Our final number was $121,781. When it comes to Title I parent activities, at this moment, we still have $14,674.96 that are still available, that are still in the process of being spent. Year-to-date expended funds, it's a total of $47,826.93. And in recs, we have a total of $59,279.11. Which out of that, as I mentioned earlier, we have a balance of $14,674.96, which, by the way, it doesn't mean that those funds are available. It just means that they haven't been processed by our finance department in conversations with FCSSPs and one-on-ones with them. They've all shared with me that they've put in recs to their schools, and those are being processed at this particular moment. As you can see, from the beginning of the school year, there is a breakdown of workshops that have been done by FCSSPs. As of right now, we've had a total of 181 workshops and a total of 769 events that FCSSPs have collaborated with the community. Any questions?
That's an impressive number of events. My goodness. Any other questions? All right, I'm sure that the end of the school year is a busy time for some of those events as well. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It is, and we're just getting started at this particular moment. April, May, and June are extremely busy at school sites with multiple events going on. So yes.
Great. I would love to turn it over to Isha to hear more about what's going on at Burr. You said Burr or Burns? I forget.
Burr.
Burr, okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm super excited to share a little bit about my basically family engagement partnerships. I currently have St. Francis Trinity Health as one of my partnerships. They provide for my family and my community an 8-week program. They either do in-site, in person, or online. They provide certification. It's basically called the Circle of Parenting. Again, I actually did the 8-week program so I could have an actual interest and understanding of what they're providing to our families. And let me tell you, it has been such a game changer. It also given me some mindsets, able to articulate, mentally prepare myself, and help my families At this time, we have a lot of trauma. We have a lot of need in our community. And just partnering up with St. Francis Community Health has been a blessing and a game changer. Also, upon our return from spring break, we will have Tales of Joys is an animal assisted therapy program. I'm looking forward to having that here and exposed to our students and families. Any questions?
Could you say the name of the organization that you partner with for the Circle of Community?
St. Francis Trinity Health. It's called the Parent Support Group. It's an 8-week program and it's free for our community. We have clinicians on board. We have social workers on board. If any family is dealing with any court situation, DCF, they will provide certifications. They will also make sure that if they need somebody to advocate for them in court, they will be there standing as well.
And how many families from the Burr community are participating in that, roughly?
Well, at this time, we had about 7 families complete the 8-week program, which has been bigger than my old school. I was coming from Dwight Belizzi, and we only had 5 families at that time while I was still engaged at that school.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for the work that you're doing there and creating those opportunities for all kinds of different support and celebration for our families. I'm sure it makes a
Absolutely.
difference in the community.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking some time to share it with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Thanks. And feel free to stay tuned for the rest of the meeting if you want, or go about your sunny evening. All right. Now we're transitioning back over to Alejandro for some SGC updates.
Yes, Board Member Tatum.
All right.
For anyone new joining our call today, we have SGCs at each individual school that consists of 14 members, 7 parents, 5 teachers, 2 community leaders, and 2 non-voting members at the student non-voting members at the high school level. Ms. Santiago, go next to the next slide, please. As of March 31st, we currently have 34 schools that have a full SGC. We went from 30 to 34, so that's an increase of 4 schools. And those schools are Buckley, HMTCA, Rawson, and Weaver. Those are the schools that went up to a full SGC. My apologies, I think my data is wrong. The schools are wrong. So, but we still went up. We still went up 4 schools. As far as parental membership, we increased from 248 to 253. Teacher membership, we went up by 2, and we added 1 community partner. We still have 4 schools still left. My apologies, and these are the 4 schools that still don't have a full SGC membership, but we continue to work with the families, the FCSSPs, PTOs, and admin to make sure that we have a full SGC, and those schools are Buckley, HMTCA, Rawson, and Weaver. At Buckley, we're just missing 1 parent, at HMTCA 2, at Rawson 3. And so we're almost there. In addition to that, we've already started, according to our policy, and we're following our policy. Our schools are already in the works to have nominations and elections for the 26-27 school year. We will have new SGC rosters for the upcoming year by May 22nd. So that we can present it in our SGC showcase and invite those families in our SGC showcase on June 2nd. That way, school administrators and the SGC chairs can get started with planning meeting dates over the summer instead of waiting until October and November. And that concludes my SGC presentation.
Any questions on SGC stuff for Alejandro? It's exciting to see such full numbers and, having over 250, parents involved at such an active level at their school is a powerful thing to see. And looking forward to seeing ways that that group of people who are super engaged can be activated and strengthened for the benefit of all of our schools. Mr. Wilson, thanks for joining us, and go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you could just remind me what the plan is for keeping our SGCs full into the beginning of next year. I know we talked about it at the last meeting, but if you could just remind me quickly on the election process and what we're doing now that we have so many full SGCs to ensure that we walk into next year with those same numbers.
Sure. So when I had professional development with all the FCSSPs who are the ones who submit the roster to central office, to myself, we really wanted to follow our policy. So our policy currently states that we need to have SGC elections during the month of May. And so one of the things that I did was I wanted the schools, FCSSPs and administrators to start reaching out to their current members in their rosters. Anyone who was elected this school year, because in SGC, when you're elected into the SGC, your term is a 2-year term. So anyone who is elected this school year, hopefully if it's a parent, a teacher, or a community member, they will return back next year. So we don't have to fill that seat. We just have to fill the seats of anyone that was elected in the school year 24-25 that's completing their second year. So one of the things that we already asked was reach out to those families, reach out to those teachers and those partners to make sure that they're going to finalize their term and they're going to return next year. So that's one of the things that we already started doing at each individual school. And then in addition to that, once we have those numbers finalized, once each school has those numbers finalized, then they can start with how many parents do they need for the upcoming school year, how many teachers they need for the upcoming school year, or how many partners they need. And that process has already started at schools already. So that is something that we're doing this year, so that by the end of May, by May 22nd, the goal is to have full SGCs so that school administrators and their SGC chair can start planning out their meeting days or meeting times. We can post the meeting dates and times for the school year like we did this year, a little bit earlier this year instead of waiting until November and December. So those are some of the steps that we've already taken in place to hopefully have full SGCs by the end of this current school year for the next school year.
Perfect. And one more question. Once we have elections, is the district doing a mass training for those new SGC members on how the SGC works? Or is it sort of based on each individual school?
No, the district will be doing a roles and responsibility training for those for current members and oncoming members. So that is something that I will personally take care of. That is something that I do district-wide. I'll invite, it's an open training for everyone at the state level. That is one of those trainings that is open to everyone. We emphasize on our current members, but we don't want to discourage any other parent or community members or teachers from coming, because maybe if there is an opening later on throughout the year and elections need to happen again for whatever reason, then they already know what to expect.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Alejandro. Thank you.
You're welcome, Board Member Wilson.
I saw your hand go up, Janelle. Did you have something to add or?
Yeah, I mean, when Alejandro was speaking, I was just thinking about just a point of reference for people looking at today's presentation, that the reason why we started to do the revision of rosters and have our FCSSP reach out to families is just wanted to give an example for people to really make sure they understand why we're doing this, even though he's saying we have a full SGC at 34 of our schools, is because you may have either parents that their child is moving into another grade and they may be going to another school and they may be on the SGC currently. We just want to make sure that we're doing the proper screening, vetting of individuals that may be transitioning or moving, or know right now that they're not going to be at that particular school, so that it allows for us to do a proper nomination and like the full process to be a transparent process and really ensure that we follow the guidelines that we have in our policy. So that's the reason why we're doing this now, to ensure that we are following a timeline, a sooner timeline that really allows for school administrators and SGC chairs to do the planning over the summer, so they are a part of everything that will come for the following school year.
All right, any other SGC related questions? All right. Thank you very much for that information, and we'll look forward to hearing about the training that happens. I believe we're kicking it over now to Flor for the Welcome Center report.
Thank you. My name is Flor de Hoyos. I am the Welcome Center Director. It's nice to be able to present nice and early. I'm going to give really a quick snapshot of our role again. For those of you who don't know us, we are the Welcome Center at the Hartford Public Schools. We play a vital role in supporting both the families and schools by providing a welcoming, responsive space for addressing intakes related to requests, concerns, and complaints. Through a compassionate and solution-focused approach, our team ensures that every voice is heard and valued, working collaboratively to connect families with the resources and guidance they need. By fostering clear communication and trust, our Welcome Center strengthens partnerships across the district and helps us create a more inclusive and supportive educational experience for all our students. We track all of this through our data, so we can go on to the next slide. And our data here, you will see for February 2026, our transportation usually is always very, very high, and homeless. And then there's a shorter breakdown that I will go through in terms of numbers on the next page. For the month of February, we had 439 intakes. You can go on to the next page. Compared to last year we have 528. This year we have 439. One of the things that I noticed this year is that our Welcome Center has less fires this year than last year. I wanted to also, before I forget, our Welcome Center space is also shared with the enrollment team for the district. And I know that the enrollment team is here to talk a little bit about what they do, but I would be remiss if I missed that. In terms of our engagement services that we provided, I'm going to go through the top 10 reasons. Transportation, like I said, and displaced families, and we have the numbers there. This month for February, we had 23 intakes for principal and staff. Clothing was 18. Choice and enrollment, we have 14. Hygiene kits, we had 13. Special education, we had 9. Safety transfer, we had 8. School records, we had 7. And student transfer requests, we had 6. And for the top 5 schools in terms of engagement and services, for elementary, we had MD Fox, Naylor, Annie Fisher, Sanchez, and Global. For middle school, we had Noah Webster, Milner, SMSA, McDonough, and MLK. And for the high school, we had Weaver, Hartford Public High School, Buckley, Great Path Academy, and Pathways. The reports are also submitted ahead of time. So if you click on the right-hand side where it says Welcome Center Report, Welcome Center Narrative, and the graph, you will see this information that we submitted ahead of time. There we go. And there you can see the breakdown of the, there you go. Thank you. And the next page is for the Family Resource Center report. This for the month of February, Burns Latino service 1,761. These included the social and support services, child care services, adult learners. I made a boo-boo there, an adult, home visits, and educational programming. Freddie Wish Museum, they service 574 cases or intakes. Social and support, they included social and support services, before and after care, housing, food, clothing, that's all clustered in one, and medical and mental health services. For Sarah J. Rawson, they service 288. This included social and supportive services, adult learners, play groups, before and after care, and families in training. At SAN, it was 535. Also included the social and support services, early childhood services. They had medical and mental health services, adult learners, and housing, food, and clothing. And at Maria Sanchez, they serviced 795. And these included aftercare services, playgroup, school age activities, family activities, housing, food and clothing, and social and support services. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
And thank you. Does anyone have questions for Flor about the Welcome Center? Thank you for not only tracking all the information, but of course also being that face that is connecting with families and fielding their concerns, their needs. Really appreciate the
Thank you,
importance
Board
of
Member
that
Tatum.
office.
Thank you.
All right. Now back over to Janelle, I believe, for a update on summer school programming.
Board Member Tatum, I'm actually going to hand this over to Ms. Morris, who is our school partnerships and community schools manager, who I would like for her to be able to share the information on where we are so far in our summer program planning for the district.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Maricia. I'm the partnerships manager for Hartford Public Schools. You could go to the next slide. So this summer plan is directly related to priority number 2, which is expansive learning and opportunity. The second half of the day, and I'll give more details as I go through the slides, but the second half of the day for a lot of our summer school programs is out of the classroom experiences. You could go to the next slide. Thank you. So we have a lot of programs happening this summer for 2026. I'll start with Early Start. Early Starts is grades K through 3. The dates for early starts will be July 6th to July 31st, 4 weeks and 20 days, Monday through Friday. Program hours is 8:15 to 12:15, which is the academic component for the day. Then the students switch and they do afternoon enrichment, which is our community-based organization come in and provide programming. During early start, they focus on reading, writing, math, and social emotional learning topics. To be invited into early start, it really depends on your end of year DIBEL scores, and the registration deadline for families is June 5th, 2026. The next program that we offer is a special education program. It's pre-K through 12, and it's only if it's listed in a student's IEP. The dates are the same, July 6th to July 31st, 4 weeks, Monday through Friday, 20 days. They only have a morning component for this program, 8:15 a.m. to 12:15 p.m., and then after that is dismissal. During this program, they focus on pre-academic skills, transitional skills, reading, writing, math, and social emotional learning. The deadline to register for that program is June 5th as well. The next program we have is our Rising Stars Middle School program for grades 5 through 8. Same dates again, July 6th through July 31st, 4 weeks, 20 days, Monday through Friday. They also have the similar makeup or program day as early start. 8:15 a.m. to 12:15 is the academic component, and then in the afternoon enrichment is 12:15 to 3:30 p.m. And that's again where our community-based organizations come in and provide programming to the kids. During this program, they focus on ELA, math, and social emotional learning as well. And this program's registration deadline is June 12th, 2026. The next program offered is to high school students, which is credit recovery. This program will be July 6th to July 31st, 20 instructional days, Monday through Friday. The Student Success Centers are open June 22nd to June 25th, also June 29th to July 1st, or July 2nd, sorry, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. The program hours for this program is 7:30 to 12:30 p.m. And then the second half of the day is, I'll explain that in the next slide. The students will focus on ELA, math, social studies, science, PE, health, Spanish, the arts. It's really classes that the students lack credits in during the school year. And once they complete the credit recovery at the end of the summer, then they'll have those credits made up from what they were lacking during the academic school year. The registration deadline is to be determined based off of what credits that they owe at the end of the school year. You can go to the next slide. Alrighty, so here are the summer sites logistics, which is basically what buildings are going to be open for summer programming. I'll start with early start. Zones 1 and 2 will be at Wish. Those schools will include that building would host these schools: AF STEM, West Middle, Rawson, Webster, Annie Fisher, Montessori, Global, Wish, and SAN. That building will hold approximately 250 students and have a total of 14 classes. At that building, there will be a total of 3 community-based organizations that will provide programming in the academic afternoon enrichment, like I mentioned in the previous slide. Those community partners are the Village, the City of Hartford, Parks and Rec. Oh, sorry, only 2 partners for this building. The next building that will be open is in Zone 3, which is Environmental Sciences at Mary Hooker. The schools that will be in that building is Sanchez, Parkville, Burns, Elams, Breakthrough South, ESM, of course, Kennelly, and Montessori at Batchelder. That building will also serve 250 students and have 14 classes. This building has more community partners. It hosts Catholic Charities, the Village, the City of Hartford of Parks and Recreation, and OPMAD. So those partners will provide the academic component for early start. The next school that would be open is MD Fox. That school will hold Belize, Naylor, MD Fox, Kingsella, and Betances Early Learning Lab. That school will only have 210 students, so it's a little bit less than the other schools, but they will have 12 classes as well. With that school building, they will have community partners being the Village and the City of Hartford Parks and Rec. So the next program will be hosted at MLK, which is ESY, the special education program. Again, it's only for students that have this program listed in their IEP. And registration is for ESY grades 4 through 12, and specialized program occurs through Allison Ward, who works in the SPED department in Hartford Public Schools. The next program is a magnet school program. Hartford Public Schools went for a grant that hosts magnet school middle schoolers and neighborhood middle schoolers to participate in the Rising Stars program. So that essentially would fund this program. Except pending award, we haven't yet received the money for the grant yet, but the two community-based organizations that will help support that event would be Catholic Charities and The Village. And that building would be AF STEM in the North End. So that program will be held at AF STEM. Acceptance again is TBD. The next school site is Zone 1 and 2, which would be Weaver, that will host credit recovery. It would be students from Weaver, Kinsella, University High, Great Path, and Classical. So Capital Workforce Partners is one of our partners to help with our CBOs to pay students to help with the second part of the day, which is different for the high schoolers. So the high school students will attend classes in the morning, and in the afternoon, they will get sent to their work sites, which is where our community-based organizations come in. They target the students who are in credit recovery already, and then they provide this opportunity by tracking if the students show up. This based off if they went to school in the morning. So students cannot attend their second half of the day if they didn't go to school in the morning. And that's what our community-based organizations will look after to ensure that the students go to school in the morning in order to work in the second half of the day. So for Weaver, Urban League of Greater Hartford will work with Capital Workforce Partners to provide that programming to the students at Weaver. Zones 3 and 4 would be Buckley. The students from Hartford Public High, SMSA, Buckley, HMTCA, Pathways, and RISE will be hosted at Buckley. And the community-based organization to host that school and the students who would be transferred over to their work sites would be Center for Latino Progress. And I think that's it.
Thank you for giving us that overview. Lots going on. Does anyone have questions about summer programming? Ms. Brody, go ahead.
Thank you. How are the providers selected? I know some of them are existing providers in the schools, but is that the criteria?
No, that's not necessarily the criteria. It's really contingent upon what slots the programs have for us. We, unfortunately, as we know, we're in budget crisis. So it's really the community partners who are able to pick up the support for Hartford Public Schools and able to provide programming in the second half of the day. But it's really any of our community partners who are able to support us. And if they have students in the schools that they host during the school year, we reach out to them and say, hey, a lot of your students are going to be at this building. Can you support us for summer? So it's really us working together as partners to make sure that we're able to provide after school programming for summer school.
We would like to use this board meeting to say if there are any partners in the greater Hartford area or in Hartford. If you're a grassroots organization or a community-based organization and you have your own budget to support students that will be participating in summer school this year, you would like to partner with Hartford Public Schools, please reach out, as we are looking to partner with organizations to ensure that every single student that is in our summer program has an opportunity to participate in the enrichment portion of the summer program.
So there's no cost to the district at all to these providers that's listed?
No, so the only thing that the district does, but because we're already opening the buildings, we already would have security on deck, custodial, because they have to clean the building. So there is no cost to those organizations to do that because they will be coming into buildings that we are already going to have open to provide classes to students. And we're looking for them to pick up the later portion of the day for the enrichment part. In transportation, we already need to bring kids in, so we will be able to, instead of taking them home midday, we will take them home later in the day. So those things are already embedded.
Okay, but no cost, no payment from us to these providers.
No, ma'am. We have no money to do so, so no, ma'am. These are the organizations that we listed here today. These are organizations that they are bringing their budget to support us.
Yes, all the staff that they service in those schools, that's the community partner paying for those staff to come in and provide programming.
Thank you.
Great. I have a question specifically about the afternoon portion for the high school students that participate in credit recovery. Has that sort of like work-based component existed in the past for those students, or is that a new?
No, so we started, the first year that we did that partnership was last year.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. I will clarify that in a second. The first year that we provided that partnership was last year as an opportunity to look at how CWP and the funding that they receive to provide summer youth employment could be a partnership for Hartford Public Schools, and we were using it to help incentivize and motivate our students to come to school. Based on that partnership, we are looking to continue to do so. So we started it last year. This would be our second year doing that. And as long as the students fill out the application that everybody else is doing right now and are able to fully complete that application, which our guidance counselors are working with them on that right now, is how the students are able to participate in the latter day. So the requirements that we have is that the CBOs that will partner with us that are being funded through Capital Workforce Partners need to work with our staff to ensure that students did go to school or classes in the morning, so that when they show up to work in the afternoon, that's another layer to help us support their attendance so that they can earn the credits that they're working on throughout the summer. And then one clarifying portion for Board Member Brody, that Sherry Davis Goose just reminded me in the chat. So for the middle school program, that was a grant. So we applied to a grant to the state to be able to provide that particular program. In that grant, we did list in a after school component or afternoon component. Should we receive the grant like we did last year, and we're hopeful that we will receive it this second year, those organizations that are written into the grant will be paid through the grant as part of the afternoon component. So those would be the only ones that would be actually paid out through the partnership or through the grant that we applied for. And the way they got selected was because so last year was the first year I wrote the grant for the middle school program. Previous to that, those two organizations were the ones that always would provide the summer survivor is what they called it, summer survivor program. We did do last year a outreach and vetted to identify organizations that will be able to partner with us to do the middle school program. Everybody submitted a proposal of what they would be able to offer. There is a committee that goes through the vetting process, and that was how they got selected last year. Last year we had 3 partners, which included the Village, Catholic Charities, and Ebony Horse Women as part of the program that we put in the grant. This year, we are looking at, we did a similar approach. We also look at feedback and input. We did surveys on how the program went last year and what the participation was as part of the vetting process for this year. And then we have the 2 organizations that came in based on the vetting process that we did. Similar approach, committee review, and then they will be subletting or subcontracting us or adding additional partners through that. There are a few additional organizations that we're in conversations with to see if they're able to be the additional broker partner that comes in, but by the deadline we had for the grant, we did not have the solidified green light, but they are still in conversations for them to come in under the organizations that we wrote in the grant. So thank you so much for reminding me that, Sherry, I totally forgot.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I just always do a plug for those organizations that typically don't become a partner, for us to always be looking for opportunities to expand beyond the usual partners that we have for year after year after year. That's it.
Noted. Yes, ma'am. And I'm trying, trust me, I am trying to really make sure that I live up to that part because I know that's something that's important for us to keep in mind. So we are reaching out and having them bring in. There are some requirements and things that sometimes they're unable to provide or fulfill, but there is a part of that process.
Okay. Board Member Estrada Perez, thanks for joining, first of all, and then you go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you for having me. So sorry I'm late. Just a quick question. You asked for other organizations who might be willing to submit to be future partners. Can you name a little bit more in specificity what those partners look like, what their requirements might be generally, just to get a better understanding of what those may be as you're looking for them?
Great question. Yes. So the enrichment portion of our summer program is we're looking for partners that are able to provide support starting at 12:15 in the afternoon until approximately 3:30, 4 o'clock. We're looking for partners that are able to work with at least 40 to 50 students per partner. So they would need to have that ratio. The partners would have to have a certificate of insurance that is at least $1 million certificate of insurance that they bring on deck. And we're looking for partners that can provide programming in the areas of social emotional learning. So they can do anything from some sport activities, some art activities, enrichment around creative theater, music. Those things are part of some of the programs that get incorporated. So we're looking for partners that are able to provide that. We're looking for partners that will be able to have the number of staffing available to be able to work with the students during 4 weeks in the summer. The program is from July 6th through July 31st. So that's the period of time. It's 5 days per week. So looking for partners that are able to also fulfill that. Partners that are interested, once they reach out to us, we would go through we do an MOU process for the month of summer with them that speaks to their responsibilities and our responsibilities, which we are offering the building, we're offering the security and custodial is already coming out of us. They will be able to have a space, so we identify the classroom or the space or the gym that they would need in order to provide their services, which is also a part of what we're offering. But we're looking for partners that are able to come in and provide that service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks again. We look forward to hearing more about how these programs develop and how they go. Okay, on to the next agenda item. Turn it over to Sherry Davis Googe for an update on some of the school choice and RESCO placement, lottery options. There's so many words that get thrown into this, and I recognize that this is a large topic, and board members in the community have been very aware of this process this year in particular. And obviously, a half an hour is not enough time to really get into too much depth. But we thought it was worthwhile to hear an update on the current status and a general overview of the system, and then at least be able to collect the questions that come up so that we can plan for some future discussions and be able to dig deeper into how the system works and what more clarity we can lend to it, and all understand better how families are interacting with the system and what the broader implications are. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sherry, and then depending on how much time we have, I'll try to collect as much useful questions and answers and open as much discussion as possible, recognizing that we're definitely going to need to follow up and continue this conversation further. So with that, please, Sherry, look forward to hearing what you have to share.
Yep, thank you, Board Member Tatum. Also joining with me tonight is Carolyn Ross Lee, who is the Director of Office of Enrollment and School Choice. Next slide, please. So tonight, as you mentioned, Board Member Tatum, we wanted to provide an overview of the RESCO placement process, including some background of the RESCO, the process timeline, and then just an overview of the placement procedures and protocols. Based on some questions that have come our way, we have tonight we'll be focusing actually on our magnet school placement procedures and protocols. Next slide. So I wanted to just give some background on the Regional School Choice Office, who manages the state program for school choice. Many of you know that the office was established in 1989 in response to Sheff versus O'Neill. The programming includes interdistrict magnet schools, open choice, tech schools. There are 8 partners, including, of course, Hartford Public Schools, Bloomfield Public Schools, CTEX, CREC, East Hartford, and Goodwin University. And again, the lottery system is managed by the Regional School Choice Office. Next slide. I also wanted to provide just some relevant legislative background. Right now, the Sheff settlement is on phase 5. Here are some key components. We are operating under what is called the Comprehensive School Choice Plan. It is designed as the roadmap to the state's long-term planning for meeting demand and supporting sustainable system integrated education. So basically, this plan just looks to look forward on how this system can continue to serve the needs of the district as well as the greater Hartford region. The state does commit significant funding to meet demand that goes to for demand, innovative programming, reformulation of schools, and to support educational equity. You have probably experienced this through the number of grants you see coming through for enrichment activities for our magnet schools. Some of our esports program relies on that funding, as well as extracurricular activities before and after school, and similar programs. I think it's important also to talk about what demand, the definition of demand is. It is one of the aims specific to this phase 5, which is to meet any Hartford resident student who submits an application with 2 or more magnet schools are considered of demand. And the state aims to, through the offer process, meet 100%, but the measurable demand commitment of 95%, 95% is the goal that is measurable for placement of these students. And then in terms of ensuring that the system is integrated, magnet schools have a compliance goal of Tier A, which is actually based on socioeconomic status. Tier A means that the family or applicant comes from a low SES background, and the aim is to not have that number greater than 60%. And Tier C, which represents high SES, no less than 30%, and that the Hartford and suburban enrollment composition stays at 50-50. This compliance goal is applied at the entry grade level of each school year. So for instance, whatever group of students come in every year, this is the goal that is set for those students entering that upcoming school year. So I think I'll pause there for questions because I think that's just a good place to stop. Any questions on the background of the Regional School Choice Office?
Ms.
Yes?
Purdy?
Mhm.
I didn't hear, did I get invited to ask my question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the socioeconomic piece,
Mhm.
because we are not asking for that from families. So how is that determined?
So on the application, the family does report their income band. That metric, along with census data regarding the neighborhood composition, is used to generate the overall metric that determines a family's SES status.
Is the income band new?
It's
I
been
don't ever
probably
remember.
the last 2 to 3 years. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
maybe
3.
I haven't entered a
Mhm.
application, but so I was having another conversation and was told, like you said, census. So what weighs more? What neighborhood you're in and the poverty level in the neighborhood, or what you actually what your actual income is?
It's weighted, and I'm going to come back to you with the weighted formula. It's a bit complicated, so I don't want to spitball it. I will certainly come back with the calculation so you can actually see it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And as we go along, I'll capture these questions that we want to follow up on, and I'll share them out with the group.
Appreciate that.
Probably
Thank you.
probably through Christina, if that's all right. Okay, are there any other questions at this point about the background for Resco or some of the quick overview of the latest phase of the chef agreement? I have a bigger question about like the demand and the application thing, but I'm gonna hold on to it and we'll keep moving, and I might add it to my own list here. So keep going.
Okay. This is just a quick slide on the process timeline. The online application opened up for HPS Magnets and the other programs December 3rd, 2025 to February 11th, 2026. Right now, we are in that late application period, which opened up March 11th, and it is open for selected schools and grades. It remains open until all seats are filled or the application, or I'm sorry, or the choice season concludes for this cycle. Next slide.
You went on mute,
You
Sherry.
went on mute, Sherry. Sorry.
Thank you. This is just a broad overview of how the placement procedures and protocols work. The system that manages the process is called EnrollWise. Again, it is managed by the RESCO. It's the system used where parents are able to submit their application, and it manages the protocols and offer data. As operators, we provide the RESCO with our seat declarations for each school. Basically, the seat declaration provides the number of seats available at each grade level. Simple calculation is that the capacity for the upcoming school year by grade minus the promoted counts equals available seats. That number is adjusted for retentions, and as you can imagine, from the start of the opening of the cycle until the end of the school year, families may move out of town, so then that also adds to the available seats. We provide that data to the RESCO. They upload it into the system, and that information then sets the parameters for the offers. There's an algorithm in place that manages what we talked about, the tiers in the Hartford and suburban enrollment, which I shared. Tiers, there is a low SES, a middle SES, and a high SES. And then, of course, the Hartford and suburban is the 50-50 split. Next slide. One of the functions that the program does is manages the placement priorities. The priorities are designed to give applicants a boost and a chance for an offer. The priority is usually given as the first choice, and here you're going to see a list of the priorities in the order that they rank in terms of being applied to an application. I'll just go through each of them quickly. So direct pathway means that there's actually a partnership between two schools. I didn't mention earlier, but every school has a magnet operations plan that sits at the State Department of Education that is the guiding document and designates them as a magnet school. So when there's a direct pathway, the two schools' magnet operation plan states that they are actually connected, meaning that the end grade of a current school is the next entry grade for the next school. Generally, it is a continuation of a specific theme. The easiest I think most people are familiar with is STEM at Annie Fisher to University High. Enrolled sibling means that there's an applicant, the applicant applied to the school where their sibling is enrolled. Of course, whenever possible, we want to keep families together. Employee and staff priority allows the applicant to apply to the school where the parent or guardian is employed. A place sibling actually happens during the lottery process where one sibling got placed in one round and perhaps in the next round that sibling applied to the same school and then they're on the wait list with a place sibling priority, what will place them to the top top of the wait list in order to keep the siblings together. Pathway School is a priority when students are in their transitional grade at the end of their current school, and the system works to keep them within the magnet portfolio by allowing a pathway to other schools. An example of that is the Renzulli students. They have a pathway to classical and Great Path. I can certainly provide a link so you all can see the pathways and priorities for each school. Is actually in the chooseyourschool.org website under the priority section on their website. I actually meant to link it here. I forgot to do that. So if anyone's interested, I would certainly share that information. And again, the last two deal with Hartford resident students and their residence address. So residential neighborhood, the applicant lives within a half-mile of the magnet school. And then a resident zone means that the school and the family resides in the same zone as the magnet school. Again, all these priorities are subject to seat availability. The only exception is the direct pathway. And that's simply because the direct pathway, the receiving school is the entry grade. And so because there's a direct pathway there, those seats are always available to the sending school. So I know I went through that pretty quickly, but certainly want to hear your questions so we can make sure that, this process, as complex as it is, is understood to the best of our ability to communicate the information to you all.
Yeah, so for this round of questions, I'm happy to entertain them here. And also, if you don't hesitate to either share or write in the chat a question that you know won't necessarily be discussed or answered here in this meeting, but you could just name a question that you have that you'd like to discuss further about this system, and I'll make a note of it and we can plan future conversations. So Ms. Brody, go ahead.
So who determines those criteria? Because years ago, decades ago, there used to be like the schools are choosing their preference. Well, who's choosing preference now?
So to your point, they really haven't changed in many years. If we're talking about the pathways or even just the siblings, they have been in place for a while. I know there's been times when, so for instance, like Capital Prep, the zone preference is for pre-K through 8 only. At one time, it was for pre-K through 12, but the school requested the RESCO and the district to look at it to allow for more integration at the high school level. But to your point, they've been established for a very long time.
But who determines it? Is it the school or the state?
We did it in collaboration.
Okay. And maybe this could be a bigger conversation because some of the preferences, it doesn't work in the favor of our neighborhood. Because it's like once you're in a magnet, you're in and you're pretty secure in the magnet system. And if you're not in that system, you're just trying to get in from the outside. But so I would like to have a more robust conversation just around that. But for the listening audience, if you could please explain how, because we are not in control over lottery seats.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could make that clear here, that would be great.
So, are you speaking specifically to how many seats we're able to offer?
How many we're able to offer and who controls the lottery?
Yeah,
we're an operator, but is an assumption that we have something to do with what kid gets accepted and doesn't.
Oh, I hear you. Yes. So, as I mentioned before, what we do as the operators is provide the regional school choice office with the number of seats we have available at each school. When it comes to the tiering, allocation of who gets placed by what tier based on their SES status, Hartford and Suburban, there is an algorithm that is built into that enroll-wise system I talked about earlier that manages how students are placed, by grade. I will say that there are 6 lists. So if we're talking about the need to ensure a 50-50 split between Hartford and Suburban, and then you have to understand that there is 3 tiers on each side. There's the low, middle, and high on the Hartford side, and the low, middle, and high on the Suburban side. So that management of how those students are placed lives within the algorithm. I will say the system will process the priorities first, especially the high level, enrolled siblings, staff preference, and we'll do that first. And then the algorithm will then do the work of managing the tier placements in the Hartford and suburban.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. I didn't see any hands.
I've got a follow-up as well, but go ahead.
You can go before me.
I think mine is detailed
Okay. And it'll
about,
take us somewhere else.
well, no, I think it's digging into the details of this. Could we go back to the slide that said the lottery system? It was like 3 slides back, I think. Maybe not. It was a bullet. I think it was the 3rd bullet down, or maybe the 2nd bullet down on that slide. The it was like the available seats minus
Oh, okay.
raise equals something.
Yep,
Could you just explain those terms that were there?
certainly can. So I was referencing to how we determined the number of available seats.
Yeah.
And so, Carolyn, do you want to take that one in terms of talking through the seat declaration? The current enrollment rolls up, blah, 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 blah.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so you take the current enrollment, so grade level 3, pre-K 3 has 20 kids. They roll up to grade level pre-K 4, which would be all 20 would roll up. So you do that for each grade level, each school, and then the number of seats that are available is based on what the expected capacity is for the school minus what the promoted grade level. Understood?
Okay. I understand promoted counts now.
And then we just added, so there are times when schools already know families who have shared with them that they're not coming back the following year, or if
Sure.
that current enrollment changes due to attrition in the current year.
Okay. Back over to you, Ms. Brody.
Actually, I was right there with you on my question. Because we get so many questions in the community around this thing. And I am wondering why, or because I was told we could, but I didn't really fully believe that. Like us saying this school can hold 800 kids. So if we have 300 kids, we're requesting to open the whole school, 500. Like, could we just say we want to be a full school? What prevents us from doing that?
Yeah, I would say within this new phase 5, there has been flexibility in the opening of seats. I will say that I have personally have argued that, when there was strict adherence to compliance, which limited the number of seats that could be opened, because if you open too many seats, then the school would move too far away from compliance. We have, as the district has said, I usually don't use this term, but the chicken or the egg, right? If you limit enrollment, then you limit programming, and then you limit the ability to serve students well. And so I think in this last iteration of phase 5, there has been consideration given to that, and therefore we have been able to open additional seats within the confines of the number of teachers and staffing and resources that the district has.
Because I guess the plain and simple question is why we just can't open the seats? Because I was told by the State Department that we could declare the seats. There is no harm in that. But I think we need clarification on what that really means, because that is not what that means. Because if we're saying, are we saying, oh, we probably will not make the compliance, so we're only opening the amount, a certain amount of seats to try to stay compliant?
I would say that's what it was prior to phase 5. Within and within the last 2 years, there's been more flexibility. So the conversation of the number of seat happening is based on, or being open is based on what the district can support in our buildings, and a conversation with the RESCO. So it has been better. I will say some of this also is based on the applicant pool. In some schools, we don't have the applicant pool to increase our seat openings because of the applicant pool. Does that make sense?
Is the applicant pool, is not the Hartford applicant pool, right?
Depending on the school, you'll be surprised. We have we're certainly going to solve for it, but we have open pre-K 3 seats in one of our Hartford schools.
So I guess my last question just would be, I have many concerns, but one glaring one is, where did you say Renzulli had a pathway to?
Classical and Great Path.
Okay, so we are not because some of our top students don't choose Renzulli. So I don't want to make it seem like all of our top students, as far as like test scores go, are at Renzulli. That's not true, but is a concentrated amount of them there. They are not, Renzulli is not a magnet school, but their pathway is to a magnet school. Mm-hmm. And not, so that is concerning to me. And I just wanted to make that statement here.
Yep. And I can give you some background. Two things. One, I'm not sure if it's well known. I will get back with the actual year it happened. But as you know, Renzulli has entry requirements into their program. And a few years back, the RESCO stated to the district that because of that, all the other programs are available to all students without any entry requirements. They asked us, yes, to keep them as open choice. They could remain as open choice, but the application process is managed at the school level. And when Renzulli moved to classical, to the classical campus, there was a request to allow that pathway to classical and continue a pathway to another school. And the school chosen at that time was Great Path. I wasn't in the seat at that time, so I don't have the background on why. I mean, I can make a assumption around why classical, but I'm not sure as to why Great Path was chosen. So I will say that the RESCO did give special consideration to the partnership with Renzulli.
But my thing is, it was our school, 100% neighborhood school. So when I hear, oh, they're giving consideration, this is our school, and it feels like we've relinquished some of that control elsewhere. Now we're caught in this open choice situation, when it was our school that was created because our Black and brown students were underrepresented and gifted and talented. However, so I will always have a problem with Renzulli even being in the open choice system. Is not where it should be, because that is the opposite of why the school was created by the founders in the first place. So we have to, I can't wrap my head around it. I don't think I'll ever accept it, because it was that's why it was created. So I can't ever move away from that. I'm glad we do have like some of that control, but we should have all the control. Like I will never be accepting of that Renzulli being open choice. I'm sorry. Sorry for the rant, but I won't belabor the point at all.
I hear you, but I will say in this moment, right? Again, the catalog states that in order to access Renzulli's programming, you have to work directly with the school. So I understand your point, but in this moment, they manage their application process, they manage their acceptances, and the open choice funding still comes for the suburban families. And the principal does a great job of ensuring a significant amount of Hartford residents occupying the seats.
My only point is it shouldn't be in the catalog.
Okay.
And in 30 more seconds, Mr. Chair, the same thing. I always advocated, if a magnet school has this great program and is doing so well, I advocated for years saying, why won't we duplicate it? We duplicated it with Breakthrough 2. And guess what? That was open choice, and then it became a magnet. So the frustration in the community is that every good thing, when it looks good, what they're doing over there, then it's becoming a magnet school. Like, and we should be in total control of our schools, but we're giving up control and putting them in a system of choice when it should be 100% Hartford choice. So I just get frustrated when we make a move to make things equitable, and then we move from it when we were holding the power to begin with. But I digress.
I've got some notes down on that, and possible to circle back in future conversations. I know we're over time. My sort of big question that I am eager to talk more about, we don't need to pick it up here, is better understanding demand and met demand, unmet demand, whose demand, like what are some of the numbers that we're talking about? What outreach efforts are made to encourage families to even like fill out the applications? Because, I know that they're generally available, but I also know that there is an effort to encourage families to avail themselves of the options. That has an impact on what the state considers demand for, under the CCP. And so I'd like to understand, like, what are those recruitment or outreach efforts like to submit applications? I'd like to understand the balance between, because I know that demand is only of Hartford resident students, but what does that look like for the suburban students that are like, what are their numbers of interest? How do those compare? I just have lots of questions about that system, since it is such a pivotal and crucial metric for the CCP.
Yeah, we had in order to address those questions, at one point we had the regional school choice office team come to, Christina, was it a board workshop or just a board?
Yeah, I think it was a committee of the whole type of
It
thing,
was a
but yes.
committee of the whole to discuss it. Christina and I talked today, and I couldn't recall if they shared that presentation with us. And so I'll double check where it does go a little deeper into demand. But it is complex, and I do believe is best explained by them um, as a starting point or as an end point. We could certainly share the presentation, but ultimately, again, it's like that, a family who applies. And if you got 100 families, I'm just going to do it in small math. If you have 100 Hartford residents who applied, then you have met demand if 95% of them were offered a seat. Now, I think I hear what you're saying, Bartman Tatum, around are they, because of demand, is there a different outreach approach? Is there other ways of increasing demand or minimizing the demand? I understand your thinking, but again, I think is best responded to by the Regional School Choice Office. I would say for the most part, though, I believe because Chef versus O'Neill has been such a part of the history from 1989, that many families are, geez, I don't know which verb I should use, but many families see the regional school choice application as something that is a part of their educational option for their families, right? You would have generations of families who have participated.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's extra effort. I think a question could be, how does demand play into the algorithm that is used to place students? I think that could be a good place or a good question for that team. And then there's the last piece of it, and Carolyn, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. It's not, the seat has to be offered. The family doesn't necessarily have to accept the seat or register for that particular school. It's in the offering of the seat. Am I correct, Carolyn? Where I'm paused at, and I will admit I have allergy haze. If you can hear it in my, I do. I'm stuck at if it's offer and accept or just offer. But I do believe offer. And if Carolyn, if you can't correct me or I've confused you too, I'll come back with the answer.
Yeah, we'll come back with the answer because
Okay, all right.
I've been reading the CCP in the last couple of weeks, and I the 2022 CCP, and I think it is offered. I don't think it.
Okay, yeah, I think
I
it's
think you're
offered
right.
too. Yep.
But yeah, be worth checking. Well, yes, certainly lots to discuss here. The overview is appreciated, and yeah, I know I want to circle back. I believe it was last spring around this time that Resco office gave a presentation. I think it's at least recorded, and we might have the slides.
You're right, Sherry. It was the May 6th board workshop. I
Okay.
can send the link with
Okay.
the recording.
Yeah, so just for next steps, I'll type up some of these questions, share them around, and then look maybe forward to creating some future opportunities to dive a little deeper.
Perfect.
Thank you all for your time and engagement always. And if there are no other questions, I will send us off on our way on this Thursday evening.
Thank you.